Hello. So we're back. It's been a while. We've taken a bit of break because there's been a lot of work going on. So I hope you're well. I've missed you. Where have you been? In this episode, I'm going to be talking about 3 ways to improve your personal brand in a way that doesn't feel icky and in a way that you can really grow yourself and into yourself and be yourself at work. For me, that's what personal branding is really about. It's not about just posting on LinkedIn or having a podcast or doing some graphics or anything like that. Personal branding or your personal brand is about what people say about you or think about you or feel about you before you've met them or after you've met them. It's when you're not there. It's how people make decisions. It's how people trust. Now, think about this. Why are you listening or watching me right now? Why are you not just looking this up somewhere? You're getting to know me. You're listening to me. You might have already met me. You go, yeah, I want to hear more of that. Or Alex, you make it easy to understand these things, or I agree with you. And if you scroll through the podcasts that you really enjoy, or the books you like to read, or the people you love to follow on LinkedIn, that tells you so much about who you are as a person, how you like to receive information, how you enjoy learning, and your personality as well, and what you value. And this is all of those things are what makes me and you human. And it's why we have presentations. And it's why we go to conferences, to network, to meet people face to face. It's why loads of people struggled with mental health when they were isolated during the pandemic. And I know I did. As much as I love my own space and time, and I can be a very much like, please don't go near me. I need my time. I'm very as an only child, having grown up that way, I am perfectly happy entertaining myself and being by myself. In fact, sometimes there's nothing I like more than going out to dinner by myself. So if I'm traveling or I'm on the road, there's something very joyful about sitting there with a glass of wine and a nice bit of food and just being in my own company. But we're human and humans need other humans. That's how we make decisions. Our brains need to like suss people out and who they are and if we can get along with them and if we work with them. And this is why personal branding is so vital to you and the value that you give to other people. Because we don't have a limit on information. Information is out there. We have it coming out of our ears, our computers, our phones. Everywhere you go, we are inundated with knowledge, which is fantastic, but hugely overwhelming and isolating. So you can actually find out everything I'll probably ever say from either another human being or online. But there are also ideas and opinions and ways that I say things that are always about me and that you won't be able to get anywhere else because they are mine and mine alone. And that goes for the same for you. You have thoughts and feelings and insights and opinions about what works, what doesn't work, based on you, your values, your personality, and your experience and your knowledge. And that is what makes you uniquely valuable to other people. That is what your brand of impact really is. And that's what we are talking about today, is more how you can get that brand of impact out there and in front of people, because your ideas are really great, but they're even better when you share them with other people. And that's where your value really is on how you make other people think and feel and do. So we're going to go through 3 ways that you wouldn't have already thought of to get yourself out there in a way that sits well with who you are, no matter how you like to communicate, no matter what your style is, whether you're introverted, extroverted, whether you're data-driven, whether you're people and emotions. We're going to look at 3 ways that if you are building your career or you're already at the top of your game, we're going to look at what you should and could be doing to boost your personal brand, to help other people trust you, to give you more influence, and to make you really valuable wherever you are. So you ready? We're going to go into it. Okay. Now, before I get started, just remember this. If you would like more opportunities to be more visible out there in the marketplace, as it were, in your career, in your industry, then do join Greenroom. Or have the details in the notes of wherever you're watching or listening to this, because this is a unique network and community of people where there are opportunities in there for you to speak. There are opportunities for you to be interviewed by journalists. There are opportunities for you to develop your brand, both within your company and outside, to position yourself as the go-to expert. So join up in Greenroom, and I'd love to see you there. We don't invite just anybody, I'm afraid. So there is a little application, but we would love for you to join us if you can. So here are the 3 ways. Now, the first thing that people usually think of when we talk about personal brand is social media. Of course, there's a reason for this. Social media is everywhere. We use it all the time. You will have no doubt already checked your phone on one of the many platforms there are for social media. This is the thing. Yes, you need to have a footprint. If you are working with someone, hiring them, or joining a company, or someone is joining your company, or you're looking for clients, new clients, anything like that, we Google them. We digistalk them, because we kind of want to know what we're getting in for. And again, I'll go back to what personal branding really is. What we're doing is psychologically is making you a safe bet. That is what personal branding really is. It's going, okay, how much information can I get about the person ahead of time so that I know whether I can trust them? I mean, think about this. It's a lot of work. Do I trust you? Do I know you? Are we going to get on? Are you going to make me feel uncomfortable? What am I getting into when I interact with you? And your personal brand needs to communicate as many things about you that is accurate and authentic, so that someone can know, like reduce the uncertainty of what they're about to get into when they work with you. So one of the ways is, of course, we Google. So here's your challenge. What happens when you Google your name? What's going to come up? Now, here's what I would guess is either nothing, or potentially your name is, say you are Jack Smith. Sorry to any Jack Smiths out there, but nothing might come up. Or if you were like me, so my maiden name was Alex Bond. You put in Alex Bond. There is a male chef called Alex Bond, who was on MasterChef. There is an author out in the US. There is a scientist. I have a multi-gendered name. There are a ton of Alex Bonds, and there are a ton of Alex Burnett's. And I was like, oh, okay. So what I'm doing is I'm fighting against all of them. And especially, we've got published authors and incredible brands, like mega brands that are out there. So they're always going to be at the top of Google, and I'm going to be very difficult to find or see. Now, that could potentially work in my favor if I don't want to be found, but then that's actually working against me as well, because people are going to go, oh, well, who are you? Now, for me in particular, I'm a personal branding expert. So if I'm not on the top of Google, what am I doing? And that is actually one of the reasons why I use both of my names, Alex Bond Burnett. Yes, it's a mouthful, but if you Google me, you're going to see lots of stuff I've done. The places where I've written, the magazines, the newspapers, the videos I've made, where I've been speaking, who's interviewed me, it's all up there. And a lot of that will be also what I've put on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has great SEO reach. And if you're not posting on LinkedIn, you're missing a trick. I did laugh recently because someone tried to add me on LinkedIn as a lead generation, we'll get you loads of leads kind of thing. And then they'd sent me a message every day, and I'd been out on the road and I was looking at my Mac going, what is this? So I did have a quick look at their page, and in their about section, it said, I fundamentally believe that great content is the way to great trusted relationships. And then I looked down, and in their activity, no activity. So I sent them a polite message just pointing out that if they really wanted to make an impact, and that's what they believed, and I believed it too, that great content builds trust and builds great connections. It's a shame they hadn't actually done the thing they believe in. They hadn't created any content, hadn't done any posts on LinkedIn. And that's why I'm out, as the dragons say, and promptly unconnected or disregard their messages. Because they're not doing what they say they believe in. So, and this is the thing. When it comes to your digital footprint, sometimes we're a bit nervous about putting our ideas out there or our thoughts and feelings because we do live in a cancel culture. And things very quickly changed. Society judges people on today's standards based on the past, which is a shame because in the past, I believed in the tooth fairy. And it would be really weird if someone was judging me based on my past belief now, because I then discovered the truth. And I fundamentally, I believe people can change, and that if we really believe in personal development and growth as human beings, then we should also realize that people, the more we learn, the more our beliefs grow and change with us. Probably getting onto a whole other conversation. Anyway, the point being is, as long as you believe it now to be true and you remain open and curious to the fact that your thoughts could change, or even invite people to change your thoughts, not only is that great content because it's producing engagement and positioning you as someone who is open and receptive, but also really strong in that this is what I believe in terms of my experience to date, but I'm open to changing that and having other experiences. What do you think? Now that's great posting. So like, here are 5 ways to do this. This is what I believe are 5 mistakes people do in this industry, but do please challenge me because this is just based on what I know now. And so if you're not posting on LinkedIn, the statistics are startling about there's something like 9 million people on LinkedIn, and only something like 30-40% of those people actually post on a regular basis. And so if you are on LinkedIn and you're just reading stuff, then the more you post, you're already winning. You're winning on your digital, on your SEO, because you're coming up in Google, and you're winning in the fact that you are actually building relationships and growing and nurturing and showing people what you're about and what you care about. When you do that, opportunities suddenly unlock. It's like at the moment you're in an invisible room and there are doors that you can't see. And the more that you communicate what you care about and what you value and what you think are the right things and the wrong things about your job, and professionally, I will say we're talking about your professional opinions, then that suddenly opens all these doors up where they go, hey, do you want to come and speak about this? Or, hey, we'd love you to come and do this. And I have to say, that is how I've built my business, is purely from showing up and speaking, and then someone going, we love what you did and I love your ideas and the way you approach it. Can we have a chat? And that would have never happened. I would have no business at all in either one of my businesses had I have not done that. So it's really worth looking at. So once you've looked at your digital footprint, blogs, podcasting, guesting on other people's podcasting, anything that's going to show up in a digital footprint way is the best thing. Do have a look at what your current footprint is, give yourself a little audit and see what's out there, and think about how you would like it to look. What should it say when people Google you? Think about that. Then you suddenly got a to-do list and you'll be very busy. The next one, of course, so that's digital. The next one is your in-person relationships. Now, these are so important because if doing the digital stuff, that's great, that'll get you in front, but really it's the face-to-face conversations, or it doesn't have to be literally face-to-face, it can be on Zoom, however you do it, doesn't matter. It's about having relationships. So if you are struggling even at work, when you go into a meeting and no one's listening to you, I want you to ask what work you have done prior to that meeting to build a relationship with everyone who is sat at that table before you've even entered the room. How many touch points have you had with that person? We've even had it where a client has wanted to switch careers within the company. And they're like, do you know what, sustainability? This is what my degree was. I really love that. I don't know how I ended up where I am. I feel like I've just drifted into this career. And actually, do you know what? Enough's enough. I want to do what I really value and what I really care about. But oh my God, I'm going to have to change my entire career. I'm going to have to find a new job in a new company. I've got to do all this work. I think I've got to get a master's. And they suddenly built this huge to-do list up of stuff they have to do. At which point we sat down and we discussed it. And I said, well, what does your current company do about sustainability? And they went, oh, I don't know. I went, well, isn't it worth finding out? to make yourself available to that. And does it matter if right now, if you're not doing the job, could you build up to this? And I said, no, I could actually, that would make me feel more comfortable if I'm building up experience and doing this. Hey, we have a director of sustainability at the company. Why don't I have a chat with them? I said, that's a great idea. And it really was. They said, hi, so-and-so, I work in this department. I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I'd love to take you for a coffee to find out more about what we're doing in the company in terms of sustainability. I actually did my degree in this, and I'd love to find out how I can help in my function now and maybe see what other opportunities there are. And they did. And then they ended up building a relationship and a friendship and stepping their way into and being like ears to the ground about what they could do, not only as a job within sustainability, but in terms of projects, stretching themselves and getting involved. And then they felt so much more value and purpose in their job because they'd taken that action and built that relationship. And then when the opportunity came, they were ready for it. And they'd built up not only the brand equity, but people knew about them, what they stood for, and what value they could bring before they entered the room. That's the power of personal branding. So if you care about something, what are you doing about it? How can you get yourself involved? You don't have to go 100% diving into something new. You can stretch yourself in different ways. And I can't say this enough. If the opportunity that you want doesn't yet exist, make it happen. Again, another client of mine he saw a massive opportunity. He was having a bit of an issue with his manager. He felt like he was in the way of talking to the CEO. So he found a very gentle way to have a conversation and build the relationship directly with the CEO of his company, because he knew things were not happening in the business that were frustrating him. It was bringing him down. It was costing lots of money, and he could save the company money. So then, having built this relationship up and put his hand up a few more times in meetings and showing up more, he was able to pitch this idea, which was going to save the company millions. And this meant he then got a job offer to start and head up the department, which didn't already exist. So if you see an opportunity for you that will benefit other people financially, emotionally, whatever it is, then you need to be in a position to pitch it to the right people. And you will only do that through the relationships you have built. And someone always knows someone. And if you have equity and you've put equity and you've built up that equity in the bank, in the personal branding bank, as it were, then you will have so much more to spend later on when you really want something and you need to ask someone something. It's a quicker way to a yes. So what are you doing to build in-person relationships? What networking are you doing? Who are you inviting out for a coffee? There is a great guy I had on my previous show years ago, which was presenting finance. It's still online, called Trent McLaren. Trent has recently started his own business this year, and it is flying. It's called Journey. Check it out. And he said to me, I never, contrary to what I said earlier, he said, I never have lunch alone. I always like to see it as an opportunity to meet someone, and I'll always invite someone out with me. And I started doing this. I did take on board, like whenever I was in London, I'd say, hey, if I have a free lunchtime slot, I'd see who I could invite out to lunch with me for no real motive other than building a relationship. And I have to say, I still am friends with and meet with and have gotten jobs with people that I have invited out for lunch. And and I will say this as well, there are people that I've also realized, actually, this person is not for me, and I don't think that we have a synergy. And that is helpful as well, is to go, do you know what? Now I know, actually, this is going to save me time in the long run, because I think that we don't have the same things in mind about how to approach situations. And that's a good thing. Again, a personal brand should be like a magnet that attracts and detracts as you move along. So have a think about those relationships. Who could you invite for lunch or for coffee next week that's in line with something that you want to learn more about and want to achieve? In fact, who could you get to know around the table that you want to sit at? Now, number 3, this is number 3 on the list, is professional credibility. Now, anyone can start a podcast or put things on YouTube like this. Anyone can. But to align your name with something that is professionally credible will also give you a huge boost as well. So this can be, if you're part of a profession and industry bodies, there are many in accountancy, law, state agent, whatever you're in, advertising. Who could you get involved with? What could you write an opinion piece on? Get your name in newspapers, get on stage. There is a weird sort of magic that happens when you are on a stage, speaking in a panel, doing a keynote, speaking on a podcast, writing in articles on newspapers or magazines. Any of that not only gets it built up your digital footprint and your in-person relationships, so it works as a tripod, but it also gets you really aligned with that name. It really does work. If they don't want to publish you or don't want to have you there, then also it makes you think, well, what do I need to do to get up on that stage? How do I need to be seen? What do I need to be talking about more or less of that is of value to other people? Because they won't have you unless you're being valuable. So professional credibility. Who could you be writing for? Who do you want to be writing for? Lots of people will say things like Forbes, like as featured in Forbes or something like that. Where would you like to see your name aligned with in terms of professional credibility partnerships? Is there a body or an industry magazine? Is there somewhere that you would like to speak and share your opinions where you feel you can genuinely make a difference? And if you're sat here thinking, why would anyone want to hear what I have to say? Well, my question is, why wouldn't they? Again, your experience, which is only yours, is valuable for someone else. Your expertise is valuable to someone else. Your insights and how you see things working is something no one else has and needs to be heard. So if you are not speaking up, then think about the people that you are not reaching and not impacting. It's actually not about you at all. It's about the people you help. And if you ever feel this is completely pointless, I can tell you a billion examples in my career where I thought, well, that was absolutely pants. And there will be times where you'll think that was just a waste of time. But I tell you what, during the pandemic, I started doing like a series of webinars just as things were going, and everyone was in a bit of crisis and emotional turmoil. So I did things like emotional intelligence and how to manage anxiety and how to communicate when people are stressed and things like that. And I just did them for free and just popped them up. You might have gone, who knows? And no one really, there wasn't a lot that came out of it afterwards. So it was a few conversations and great things, but they weren't really my ideal clients. And I thought it was a bit of a bomb, to be honest. I thought it was great to keep myself going, great to keep reaching out, regardless of what it would bring. And to be honest, it's good for me to be showing up, even as an exercise or just to keep speaking and keep in front of people, make my camera skills better. And then I think it's 3 years later, I was doing a keynote talk. And we were at this conference, and I always like to arrive really early, and I was having my lunch and I found a quiet little corner somewhere. I had my bagel. I was just about to sit and unwrap it because kind of like sitting. By the way, I do love eating with people, but no, I was there eating alone again. And so to invite me for lunch, I think that's appropriate. Then these people were walking past me and I went, oh, are you Alex? And I went, oh, yes, a bit. It was like, oh gosh, yes. What did I do? And they said, you ran these webinars like 3 or years ago. I think it's just at the start of the pandemic. And I just want to say thank you, because I really needed that at that point. And I can't tell you, it just really helped me with something I was struggling with. So thank you for doing that. And then they left. And I was like, do you know what? This is the thing, is that when you have that, they had a reason to listen to me because of all the work I have done to partner with and be valuable with membership bodies and to show up and present and talk for credible places as well. I won't just talk anywhere. It has to be aligned and somewhere where I think aligns with my values. And just the fact that I'd helped one person, I was like, that's the world to me. That's, you don't have to impact the entire room or everyone that reads that newspaper or everyone that listens to that podcast. But if you reach 3 or 4 people, job done. So this is the thing. It's funny how impacts works. I recently had someone who saw something in 2019 reach out to me on LinkedIn saying they wanted to work together. So you never know how much you really impact someone and made an impression on someone and how your ideas reach. And if you can do that with a profession, suddenly those 3 things, if you're digitally showing up and people can find you online and what you stand for and what you're like to deal with and what you sound like and how you communicate, and they think, yeah, that's pretty cool. And you're making those steps to build in-person relationships so that when someone goes, have you heard of Alex? They go, oh, yeah, no, we had a coffee. She was great, actually, really great fun, just as she appears online. And they go, great. Oh, and did you see she also wrote something or said something or spoke for at the insert credible credible publication? Then you've got the trifecta, the personal brand trifecta that positions you as the go-to expert. And if you've done it right, everything that they've read and seen should be just as you are in person as well. It should be authentic and it should be real. So you've got to make it work for you. So there you have it. There is the trifecta of personal branding and how you can get yourself out there in a way that really works for you and helps you open those invisible doors that you don't know are there. If you enjoyed this, maybe share it with someone else who would like to get their personal brand out there, with a member of your team or a colleague. If you can share this, this really helps the show and get subscriber levels up. And that means I can get some really great guests on here as well for you to listen to. It's great to be back, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.